Hey YouTube, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to show you how to remove a run out of your paint, and we're going to do that right now. Okay, before we get started, I want to appreciate each and every one of you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell notification to get all the latest videos from Garage Noise. And today we're going to show you how to remove a run from your paint. We're going to need a few things to get this done. This would be the best thing to use. There's a lot of different ways to remove runs, but what I use is this method right now. I've used other methods in the past, but this is a Meguiar's run remover, sanding block, whatever you want to call it. It's a sanding stone, and it removes the high area of a run. So you knock it down with this. We're also going to need a piece of 600 grit sandpaper. This is just a small piece here that I'm using on the Meguiar sanding block to get that knocked down and smooth. And then we're going to go over it with some 2000 grit. So you need some 2000 grit wet dry paper. And I have the sponge here, and I'm going to wrap the 2000 grit around that sponge. So you may or may not want that. You can use your hand. It doesn't really matter. I'm also going to use this, and I love these things. It's a Trizac 3M 3000 grit wet dry sponge. Okay, so it's really easy to go over it with this, and that gets out the scratches from the 2000 and makes it easier to buff. So you'll also need a buffer. I have an orbital polisher such as this one. There's a lot of them out there. This is a pretty good one. I bought it off Amazon, I believe, and it's very reasonably priced. I think it was $100, but I love the orbital polisher. It's a lot better than a rotary, and I will never use a rotary. I'll never go back to a rotary again. Orbital is so much easier. It cuts so much better if you know how you're using it, and maybe I'll make a video about that later. I'm going to show you a little bit in this video, so at the end you'll see how to use that orbital properly. We're also going to need some rubbing compound for the polisher. In this little squeeze bottle is some 3M Perfected 2 polisher. It's the best stuff I've found. They have different steps of the 3M. You're supposed to start with one step, move on to the next, move on to the next. But I find the Perfected 2 will work for all circumstances, all occasions that you need it. So let's get started, and let me show you this run. Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you how to remove a run. This is a quick tip, short little video here, but I've got this. This is a Meguiar's block for removing runs. These come in real handy, and I'm going to just show you how to do it. Basically what you want to do is you want to hold the block flat on the panel and run across the run. I'm trying to do this while I make a video. It's kind of difficult. I have to get used to it. But anyway, if you can see there, it refocuses. Okay, I'm gonna, right on this little run here, I'm gonna work and see if we can get a good shot of how this takes out the run. Basically what it's doing is it's blocking down that high clear. This is a run in the clear. You know, if you have a single stage paint that's high metallic, this is probably not going to work because that takes out metallic. But if it's a single stage solid color, you can block those so they're not noticeable. This is a run I got yesterday. It was cold and I hit it a little too hard, and you can see how it's coming out there. What you want to do is block it down so it's flat, basically, so like it was never there. But you don't want to go all the way down with this block. We're going to use another block with some 600 grit paper on it to finish it. Well, as the next step, there it focuses in. See if I can zoom in a little bit closer. See how it's flattening that. I like to do a little cross pattern or go up on to where the, now you want to make sure the clear is pretty dry, pretty cured on this. If I go up against the run a little bit, see how that's blocking it out? It doesn't take out a lot of stuff around it. It's mostly taking it off the run, which is what you want. So we'll get this down to okay, so I'm going to pause it and then I'm going to come back after I've got this to where we're going to go to the next step. Okay? Okay, so now we got the thick part of the run removed, the real thick part of the clear. So now we're going to use this, it's 600 grit. So I'm going to wrap this around the block I was using here, that Meguiar's block, and I'll have the links in the description for these products. They work pretty well. There's other products, but I found the blocks to be pretty good. And what I'm going to use is a little water, and I'm going to try and stay to the high part of that run, and I'm not going to go back and forth. I'm just going to continue to go across it, and I like to do it in one direction and maybe against the run a little bit. But you want to try and stay on the run itself. That'll knock the high spot down. Let's see where we're at here. There's where the run, part of the run is here. And then it went across here. So we're gonna go, I can still see it just a little bit in the light, but the real heavy run part is gone. Heavy clear part. So I'm gonna hit this part over here. The reason you want to stay right on the run is if you get outside of it and are taking off the paint or the clear around the run, then you could possibly go through, and you still can possibly go through with this situation. But if you take it to the point where it's just almost out and not try and get every little bit out with this step, then you won't go through. And then the next step will take out the last portion of it, which would be, you want to go over it with 2000, and that'll remove the 600 grit scratches. And then with 3000 on a soft pad, and I'll show you those things, and then you just polish it. So we're almost done with this step, and then we'll get to the 2000. Okay, so we went over it with the Meguiar's coarse block, and then we went over it with 600 grit wet dry paper on the Meguiar's block. Now we're going to use 2000 grit paper wrapped around. This is a spongy block. You don't necessarily need this, but it's just, I think it makes it cuts a little bit better. So we're just going to take our paper and put it around that, and then we're going to block over it with this until we remove those 600 grit scratches. Use a little water on it. Make sure it's clean. You're not hearing any dirt underneath the paper. Let me do the rest of this panel and then I will show you how we polish it out. Okay, so we went over that run with 2000 grit. In fact, I've went over the whole door. Let's see if I zoom out here. I've went over the whole door to smooth it out. And then I'm going to go over it with 3000 grit, wet dry paper. Can't really see much where the run was because it's dull. It's a white vehicle. So even if there was a little run there, you probably, or a telltale sign of a run, you probably couldn't notice it. So what I'm going to do, you're going to see it a lot better once it's polished. So I'm going to go over it with the 2000 and then we'll come back to this area and take a look and I'll show you the finished product. This is 3000, so it's really fine. And this really helps when you go over it to remove the 2000 grit scratches and help when you polish it. Because when you polish it, polishing usually takes a long time, but when you go over it with the 3000, it really has a nice sheen to it, and it's also kind of like polishing it. And then when you buff it, it brings out the shine. But it's a lot easier to buff when you go over it with the 3000. And I'm going to go ahead and polish it. We're using a orbital polisher, and these are really good. If you don't have one of these, I like them better than the rotary. I'll never go back to a rotary. If you have these, you just apply a little bit of pressure. There's no fear of burning through the paint. We're going to use this. I've got some Perfect-It 2 3M Perfect-It 2 rubbing compound in here. We're going to put just a few dabs on the pad and then polish that spot out so I can show you the finished product. I figure I might as well show you the polishing procedure, but that's how much I'm going to put. I'm just going to do a square around that area that we did just to show you, for these purposes. So, and then we'll zoom in and see if we can locate what's left, if anything, of that run. So you just spread it out around like this. Start off on a low speed and you want to spread it around. So I'm going to start it out on 1 and just spread this around, and then I'll speed it up to 6, and you go kind of slow. I'll show you. You go slow over first couple passes and to rub it in. So just do a square about this big right here. Now I'm going to step up the speed. Slow it down. Okay, that should be sufficient. Let me grab a microfiber towel and show you what we have. Okay, I wiped this down You zoom in here, and for the most part it's all gone, but you can see if I move over, see how there's a ripple in that light there? That's where that run was. It almost makes it look like orange peel. I know it's kind of hard to see, but right there you can see where that run was. But when you zoom back and you have an overview of it, there's a little bit of a run edge right there. We're at the end of that run that I didn't get, so I'll probably go over. See right there? But as far as the rest of it, see right along this line is where that run is with that light. Start from here and then follow the light, and you can see how it's a little ripply. See there? But for the most part, it looks really good. It could be gone over a little bit more to maybe make it a little flatter, blocked a little more to make it a little flatter, but then you risk going through. And for this vehicle, you know, it's white and it's a dealer vehicle, so it's not that concerning. If it was on a customer's vehicle, that would have to be better. But for the most part, it's really nice, and it removed the run. And if you need to do it on your vehicle, then there you go. There's how you do it. Appreciate each and every one of you watching. Please like and subscribe, and leave your comments below and share this video. We'll see you next time.